What's up, everybody? We've got less than 100 days until David Cornsweet is officially the new Superman, and after CinemaCon, I'm just about done putting the puzzle together on what's in store for us with James Gunn's Superman movie. Everybody, including Gunn himself, have been referencing All-Star Superman a ton, and rightfully so. One, it's a great comic, but two, you see it just as much as the book I'm about to talk about here in today's video, Superman for All Seasons. I think that comic by Jeff Loeb was the inspiration for the identity of this movie, and there's four specific parts of the movie that we already know about, by the way, that show us that. Let's dive in. First off, I want to warn anybody that is avoiding leaks for this movie. There will be some in this video. It's not going to be the whole video. Most is going to be connecting the dots from Jeff Loeb's comic to the trailer for the movie, but I do mention a couple of things outside of the trailer that will be leaks, so there's your warning. With that being said, let's get into the first character of today's video, Angela Spica, the engineer. In Superman for All Seasons, there's this lady that Superman saves, Jenny Vaughn, and he becomes her angel. She was an insanely talented biochemist who he rescued, only for her to become a pawn in Luthor's fight against the Man of Steel and ultimately perish. Now, obviously, I don't think the engineer is going to die in this movie, but I think she's going to be similar to Jenny in the sense that she becomes a pawn in Luthor's fight against Superman in the movie, and that's what leads her to the Authority. I think that would be a great way to not only explain, what she's doing in the movie, but to give her that departure to her new team. Also, and this is purely speculation because we haven't seen what she looks like with finished VFX in the movie, or if she has any of her nanotech at all in the movie, you could use this as a way for her to sustain a life-threatening injury and then receive said nanotech to officially become her character. But let's dive into his personal life for now and take a look at Lois Lane. In the summer section of Jeff Loeb's book, we get a portion where Lois's thoughts, I guess you could say, I don't know, I don't really know how to put that, but I'll say her thoughts are paired with moments in Superman's day-to-day, just like the engineer and Jenny. That comparison, I don't think Gunn's gonna adapt that one for one because, well, he's not adapting Superman for All Seasons, but I do think it inspired him for a major scene between the couple. That scene I'm talking about is this one-on-one interview that we've heard about recently between Lois and Superman, and it's her first interview with the Man of Steel, and apparently it dives into politics a bit. At first, in all honesty, I wasn't sure how good of an idea that was, but the great Jeff Loeb showed me the way with For All Seasons. I think what the scene will entail is Lois, who lives in this world full of heroes who are nothing like Superman, getting to the bottom of things like how he knows Clark and how Clark keeps getting all the Superman scoops, what keeps that Boy Scout nature of his going, and why he does it differently than all the other heroes. Obviously, we the fans know it's because of the Kents, but I'm curious to see how this is handled in the movie. Like, is this going to come before Lex frames him for stuff and goes to the fortress, or is it going to come after that? Because I feel like that could completely flip how this interview is going to go, and also how similar is this going to be to the classic scene between Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder. But moving on, we've got a part of the movie that I'm incredibly excited for, and that's Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. I know I should wait until I see the movie to say this, or even really think it, but there's a 99% chance he becomes my favorite Lex, topping Michael Rosenbaum, and what I'm about to lay out would be a major reason why. I see James Gunn picking up Lex's pompous ownership of Metropolis that he's built in his mind in this book, and the disturbing things that he'll do to keep that power. I mean, we literally saw the newspaper image from the movie of Superman stopping the train, and that happens in this book when Lex unleashes a bioweapon on Metropolis. But I think what Gunn is going to do is take that story and make it all the more personal for Superman. We know Lex goes to the Fortress of Solitude, and we've already heard that he's going to alter at least one of Jor-El's messages to make the Kryptonians seem evil, but I also think the monsters, like the kaiju, and I'm blanking on the one from All-Star Superman that we see Guy Gardner fighting, but that one too, that we see attacking Metropolis, are going to be released by Lex from the fortress to frame Superman. Then you also have the Lex bots, and it's unclear right now if it's going to be, an army in war suits in the movie or the actual bots, but we see them in the trailer as Mr. Terrific protects himself and Lois. I think he's going to deploy those when Superman goes back home to Smallville, which we'll talk about more to finish the video, and also I bet he brings them to the fortress along with Ultraman and the Engineer. Basically, like most iterations of Luthor, he's going to be trying to drain all of the hope out of Superman, that bright spirit that makes him who he is, and bring him down to his level. The difference? Well, there's two things. One, For All Seasons LEX, and if it is an inspiration, it's great because that's an amazing book that you have to read. And two, Nicholas Holt, he wasn't there before. His LEX, and you're just going to have to take my word until July, is going to be great. Finally, we've got Clark's return to Smallville in the movie. We saw that in the trailer, and it gave us our first look at Pruitt Taylor Vince as Pa Kent, but everybody jumped to the wrong conclusion that Ma Kent passed away and that's why he's home. That's not it. This comes from the winter section in For All Seasons, where Superman, like I said, is driven back to Smallville after Lex gets that temporary victory. I think Gunn read that part and figured out the end of his movie because it reportedly ends with Superman going to the fortress only to see the Kents and his new family. If that pans out, Corn Sweat's Smallville side of the story is really going to end up being my favorite part of this movie because that's what makes Superman so special. Things like Lana Lang understanding the Man of Steel because she understands Clark, but ultimately, the fact that we wouldn't have Superman, well, in universe, that is obviously the creators made him, but if it wasn't for these two great Midwesterners, Jonathan and Martha Kent, who are not only what keep the alien grounded in his stories, but I truly believe you can't have a great Superman story without those two having a heavy impact on said story. And so that's going to do it for today's video. My hype is starting to go up, and away for this movie, but I want to know what you guys are thinking about it. So drop what you want to see down in the comments below, subscribe to the channel for more nerdy content like this, smash that like button to make sure you have a great day.